Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and for being here with us. Every month at Cherry Tree, we offer our audience a clinical theme and we explore within that theme different topics. And for February, we've been chatting about the topic and theme of compassion. And so today I'm super excited to be welcoming two very special guests who know a lot about compassion and who are joining us today to teach us and share with us some of their knowledge in this area. So very special welcome to Mary Linda Burgess and Natalie Sobel. Welcome, both of you, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm so excited about our conversation that we're about to have. So perhaps we could just start, and maybe it's an obvious question, but I think it'll be one of interest. Could you just share with us what is compassion and self-compassion specifically? What does that mean?
So if I may begin, the research of doctors Kristen Neff and Christopher Germer light the path for us to have this conversation. And Kristen Neff, who is a research psychologist at the University of Texas in Austin, said that the informal way of defining self-compassion is treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and tenderness when you are suffering or going through a hard time, as you would show to a good friend. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mary Linda, you could perhaps tell us a little more about the formal definition.
Well, I think in order to understand self-compassion, we also need to understand compassion. And for compassion to arise, there are three things that need to happen. First of all, we need to see the suffering or recognize the suffering of the other person or other being. We need to have empathy, some kind of connection to that, some kind of understanding of the suffering. And then we also need to have a desire to make it different, to help with it, to alleviate it. So all three components need to arise. And then with self-compassion, it's taking that and applying it to ourselves. So we need to see or know that we are suffering. We need to have some connection with empathy for ourselves. So that with the teachings from Kristen Neff and Christopher Germer, that comes through a sense of common humanity, that we're not alone with this, to soften our inner critic that might get going because we're suffering or what's wrong with me, as opposed to that and recognizing I'm not alone, I'm not the only one suffering. Mm-hmm. And then to offer ourselves some kindness, to soften, to soothe that suffering. So those are the three components to self-compassion as well.
Okay, thank you. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the inner critic, Mary Linda. What if that inner critic is really loud and strong and we find it difficult to access self-compassion? Is this a skill that we can learn over time, or what can help us in the face of a really strong sort of inner critic or that negative voice that shows up and somehow tells us we're doing things wrong or we're not enough? And it can be really hard to shut that off. How do we learn self-compassion?
So part of the question that often that arises is, can everyone learn self-compassion? And we certainly think so. The answer simply would be yes. And it takes practice. I consistently ask folks when we're meeting with a group, hands up, how many people have an inner critic, have a voice that criticizes yourself? I don't know anybody who doesn't put their hand up.
Right.
So we're all in this together. We all have that inner critic. And the inner critic can be really, really loud and really harsh at times, can be a little bit quieter and a little softer or gentler at times. And that's exactly what the self-compassion skills are all about, is to help us to be kinder to ourselves and to tone down the inner critic, not necessarily 100% turn it off. I'm not sure that's feasible. And at the same time, toning it down and being kinder to ourselves.
Okay.
Would you add to that, Natalie?
I think you got it. I mean,
Toning it down.
the inner critic comes from somewhere and has a purpose.
Mhm.
And sometimes acknowledging the intention of the inner critic's purpose is a part of the process of learning to tone it down.
Okay.
Mhm.
So toning it down partly by acknowledging why it's showing up, or what the purpose or intention behind that voice or message might be. Beautiful. I love that. And can learning and practicing, as you mentioned, Mary Linda, can practicing self-compassion help us with our mental health? I know you're both social workers. You work in the mental health field. Can learning self-compassion and building on those skills help us feel better emotionally?
So absolutely. Natalie, would you like to say more about that in
Yeah.
terms of the research and things like that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Self-compassion is powerfully linked to well-being. There are over 4,000 research articles in the literature that demonstrate that the practice of self-compassion is linked to fewer negative states like stress, shame, depression, anxiety, body image. And self-compassion is also linked to more positive states like happiness, well-being, improves our relationships, improves our life satisfaction, optimism, better physical health, and overall self-care.
Wow.
Demonstrated in the literature.
Did I hear you right? Did you say 4,000 research studies?
Yes.
Well, and
And
Incredible.
that's
that's
probably outdated a bit because,
Right.
there's research all the time.
That is powerful.
That's
Wow.
available on the website of Dr. Kristen Neff. There's a special place to click that says
That is
research.
incredible. And that website is wonderful, isn't it? There's a lot of free guided exercises, self-compassion exercises that are offered on the Kristen Neff website. We often invite clients to check those out.
Mhm.
And they're so accessible.
Both on Dr. Kristen Neff's website, self-compassion.org, and Dr. Chris Germer's website, which is chrisgermer.com, I think.
Oh, thank you.
They both offered all the practices for free that you can listen to and be guided by the gurus of this program.
Yes. Wow. Beautiful. Such generous sharing. Beautiful. Self-compassion, I'm interested in, so we're kind of talking about the overall broad theme and definition of what self-compassion is, and it's a skill that we can learn and we can practice and we can invite in. Can we talk about how we might use those skills and those new ways of being on a micro level, say within our own families? We support a lot of women and mothers in our practice. We work with maternal mental health, and a topic that comes up a lot is that sort of pressure cooker feeling where we can be just maybe not looking after ourselves as much as we want to or need to, and things build and build, and the pressure gets more intense and accumulates, and then we end up kind of blowing up. And so we end up talking a lot about mom rage and what to do in those moments where we sort of explode, or we talk about flipping our lid sometimes. So on that kind of micro level within our families and our day-to-day experiences, how might this model be useful to us? And then maybe also merging into the macro. So much of us are carrying a lot of worry and concern right now for what we're seeing happen in the world with the COVID pandemic, with climate change, with the social unrest and the protests we've been following in Ottawa the last couple of weeks. Can self-compassion help us understand and approach all of this hurt that we're seeing in our world and this suffering? I know that's two big topics, but I think this is important, right? To know how can compassion help us in our families and in our world.
So if I can start off, and then I'll pass the baton to Mary Linda. The first thing that we need when we're talking about the micro level, as you've described it, is mindfulness, to simply and firstly be aware that we are suffering, having a hard time, being challenged, noticing what's happening for us in the very moment. That's the skill of mindfulness. And this program is called Mindful Self-Compassion. It's a mindfulness-based program by which we use self-compassion. So noticing that we are triggered by our kids, noticing what's happening for us in the moment is where we start.
Yes.
Right? Mary Linda,
Noticing.
can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Wow. Mom rage. Whoa. that
It's real.
it's a great phrase. I love it.
Yeah.
So those moments when something gets going with the kids and the family, and even if the kids aren't around, there can be moments when we're just really strongly triggered, and we feel like we're going to flip our lid, like you were saying. So I think even the beginning place of being compassionate enough to allow ourselves to be skillful, to recognize in that moment, whoa, just to even touch in, this is a moment of suffering. And then with the self-compassion break that we teach in the course, one of the initial skills we teach. So I touch in and I recognize my moment of suffering. And then I also recognize that I'm not alone in that. I'm not the only mom in the world that's going through this, or ever has, or ever will. I am not alone. And may I offer myself the compassion I need in this moment, just right now. And then touching in and offering a soothing touch, wherever that might fit for me. Is it hand on my heart, or hand on my belly, or hand on my upper arm, sort of like a hug, or on my cheek, or hand in hand? What is it that would offer me some soothing, and allowing myself to rest in that, even for a brief moment, because sometimes when the kids are at it, it can only be a brief moment. But even that can allow us to do a bit of a reset. And the intensity of the emotion can come down because we've offered ourselves what we need. In self-compassion, we ask, what do I need? We're so outward focused. What do others need? What do I need to do for them? Which, we can get at with the macro level. So even at the micro level, we need to look in this moment. What do I need? I need to offer myself a little moment of compassion here. With the intensity of the emotion you're talking about, Natalie and I discussed this ahead of time, and there are other skills that may need to come into play then. In that, once I've been mindfully aware that this is getting triggered, and offering myself a little moment of kindness, and just even taking a breath, stop, take a breath, observe what's going on, then proceed mindfully. And that's straight out of DBT with Marshall Linehan. You'll recognize that. So it kind of marries well with the self-compassion break. And then, what's the next step? Maybe we need to look at other skills.
If I can throw in here, Mary Linda?
Please.
So marrying those two pieces together, the DBT Marshall Linehan stop skill that Mary Linda just talked about, and the moment before that, she spoke about the self-compassion break practice, which you can find on the websites of Kristen Neff and Chris Germer. One of our colleagues in the United States, Julie Podaker, she's a mindfulness expert and certified self-compassion teacher. She created a skill that kind of combines these. It's called SNAP, where the S stands for soothing touch, which Mary Linda referred to. When we give ourselves a soothing touch and feel the intention of kindness and warmth from our hand toward ourselves, that soothes the nervous system. It activates the tend and befriend system, and that releases the oxytocin and what's the other one, Mary Linda? The oxytocin and opiates that are part of our tend and befriend system, opposite to our fight, flight, or freeze system. So that starts to calm down the nervous system already.
Mhm.
And then naming the emotion. Oh, these kids, they're driving me crazy. I am so mad right now. I am so frustrated. I feel so helpless. What do I do? When we name the emotion, that helps to further deactivate the amygdala and get us to calm more.
Yeah.
And then act is the A in SNAP. And acting means using these skills that we have, our mindfulness skills, our DBT skills, our self-compassion skills, whatever skill is called for in the moment. You know, when we've already brought down our activated amygdala, then the kids are going to pick up on the fact that we've gotten calmer. That's the mirror neuron phenomena.
Right.
Where when we can calm ourselves and the kids can feel into what we're feeling, and they may also start to already calm down a little bit from our own, the emotions that we're giving off.
Right.
And then the final part of that is P, praise. And what do we praise? Well, we can praise ourselves. Hey, I got through this moment, or praise your practice. Oh, thank goodness for self-compassion and DBT and SNAP and Julie and Chris and Kristen. Or maybe you're just going to thank the universe or your deity of choice. So SNAP is also just a wonderful skill when you are, that combines mindful self-compassion and dialectical behavior therapy, tip skills and stop skills, so that we can handle the moment with more ease. And
Beautiful.
that we've just spoken about is what you talked about, the micro level in the moment. And then you talked about the broader sort of suffering in the world that we're all witnessing and experiencing with the pandemic and with what's happening in Ottawa and Canada and some other places. And Mary Linda put a lot of thought into how to respond skillfully to this question.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Skillfully. Well, we'll do our best, right?
Yeah, I'll just jump in really quick. There's just so
Please.
many takeaways from everything you just said. I just wrote a ton of notes, but what's really staying with me especially is the SNAP acronym. I love that. Sue's name, act and praise, and the simple fact that we deserve kindness. Even if I'm yelling at my kids, I deserve kindness. I don't have to turn away from myself. And that critic beats me down for being a bad mom. That's what it's telling me in those moments. I can turn towards myself. It's okay to do that, to use some of these strategies and techniques. Why? Because I deserve kindness, right? I deserve kindness.
As Mary Linda said, the quintessential question of mindful self-compassion is, what do I need right now?
Yes. What do I need right now? So we have 4 minutes or so. So could you just tell us how to fix the world with self-compassion in like 4 minutes or less?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Just be compassionate.
Be compassionate.
If it was that easy, we'd all be doing it.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So Natalie said it very well, that this is really tough. This is a big order that we have, that we want to be able to foster self-compassion and compassion in a world when there's so much going on around us that is so negative. I think first and foremost, we need to recognize a couple of things, if I can very quickly. One is that our mind is designed and hardwired to notice what's wrong as opposed to what's right. We zoom in and focus on it, and we stay paying attention to it. That goes way, way back in our development as human beings, like way, way back. That's the way we survived, and that's why our species is where we are now. So if we can recognize that, oh, wait a minute, I'm focusing on the negative. Can I then zoom into the positive? Can I notice it and savor it? And so in our mindful self-compassion program, we focus in on things like gratitude as well, and fostering happiness. Sometimes it means we need to zoom into the small stuff, the everyday stuff that we take for granted and we miss. That can be very helpful and healing for us, and can bring down all that negative emotion that and tension that can get going. So recognizing that, and also recognizing the impact of media, because we're in a world where everything is instant. Something happens on the other side of the world, we hear about it. And if you're on the news channels 24/7 and listening and watching and listening, and a lot of us were doing that through the early days of the pandemic because we felt we needed to be informed, and it may have served a purpose, and now we're getting worn out. So this question also talks to us about burnout. What do we need to do to take care of ourselves? Because again, caregiver fatigue and burnout are very real, And burnout with the pandemic is very real for all of us with these issues. Natalie, did you want to say something more to that? Because I mean, I could go on, but
Just mindful self-compassion brings in the use of the idea of equanimity, which is balance and wise discernment. So maintaining your own mental balance while hard things are happening around you. And we have practices in the Mindful Self-Compassion program to help you to get into that zone of balance, of equanimity. And I can, if I may share about Mary Linda, didn't you spend a lot of time doing Tonglen, a very ancient practice, as a result of, what was happening in the world, to send compassion out, taking compassion in and sending compassion out to the world. And, you know, if everybody's doing that, then we hope that that will make a difference in the world.
Yes.
And I can say that, you know, Mary Linda is somebody who's constantly practicing for the benefit of the world.
Beautiful.
We're really privileged to be with her today.
So your wisdom in that, Natalie, is saying that also in the Mindful Self-Compassion program, we do teach skills. It's a skill building program, and we teach skills around burnout and caregiver fatigue. And part of that is learning to do that kind of practice where we draw in what we need, you know, in turn with the breath, and offering ourselves that soothing touch. And as we breathe out, we may breathe out our wish for the other. And when we're in a really tense situation, so the kids are bouncing off the walls and we're really tense, or the kids are really upset with us, you said no to me? Like, what? No, I don't like that word, no. Can I breathe in for myself going, oh, okay, breathing in calmness, and can I breathe out? Right, the kids are upset and they're sad because I said no. Of course they are. That's where the compassion comes in. As human beings, we all have the same desire. We want to be happy. Yeah. Happiness is defined by each individual differently. So in this moment, the kids, the happiness is the cookie before dinner. No, yes, no, yeah, right? Yes, yeah. So can I breathe in for myself and breathe out for the other? That's a skill that we learn. Can I develop that wisdom, that balance that Natalie's talking about, that equanimity, and recognizing that, you know what, it's not always that I can fix it for everybody, and yet I have the desire. I have the wish that it would be different. And can I offer that to the world?
It's beautiful.
Others around us. So this, on the macro level, as we're living it in our day-to-day living, others around us pick up on that. And as Natalie said earlier, we can be soothing and calming for ourselves, but it ripples out past us as we practice it, and as we practice it more and more. It is often that people will come back to class and say, so-and-so in their life or in their family has said to them, what are you doing? You seem different these days. Yeah. They notice a difference for themselves, but others around them also notice. Beautiful. So there's a real benefit.
Such a benefit. And that was lovely how you integrated that micro and macro, and breathe in, breathe out, be compassionate. It's not easy to be compassionate sometimes towards others, and especially ourselves. It's hard.
It is hard work.
It's hard work. If folks want to learn more about building these skills, about practicing, you've mentioned some lovely interventions and techniques and more formalized or structured strategies and tools that we can use. Where can they learn more? How can they join one of your offerings? Can you just share a little bit with our audience about what you're doing in terms of your teaching?
So Mindful Self-Compassion is an 8-week training program, a training program to build the resource of self-compassion. And it was developed by Kristen Neff and Chris Germer in 2010. And it is literally taught all around the whole globe. There are trained teachers in MSc in, I think, almost all of the continents and in so many cities. And we are not the only, but we are some of the teachers based in Hamilton who teach this. We have taught it online, and we have taught it in person. And you can go to the website of the center, spelled the American way, CENTER, Center for Mindful Self-Compassion. And you can look up where courses are being taught anywhere in the world at any moment in time. Mary Linda and I haven't set the next date for when we'll be teaching Mindful Self-Compassion. We hope it'll be in person. And I have a Facebook page for those of you who have Facebook, where I post many snippets based in mindful self-compassion or based in mindfulness or compassion that I find from other places. And my Facebook page is called Mindful Self-Compassion Zoom Gully. That's from there's a children's song that goes, Zoom Gully, 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 Zoom Gully, Gully.
I remember that one.
And I thought of that to name my Facebook page because COVID had just hit and everything was happening on Zoom.
So is Mindful Self-Compassion Zoom Gully?
Yes.
Is that it? Okay.
Yes.
And we'll post that so everybody can find it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
so that's my Facebook page. And Mary Linda has a website. What's your website called, Mary Linda?
So it's mindfulselfcompassionhamilton.ca. And so there is some information there about mindful self-compassion, and when we have our next offering available, that will be posted there as well.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. We'll be sure to share that information with our audience so folks know where to find you. Thank you both so much. This has been so illuminating. I was so excited to talk with you. Last year, of course, I took one of your workshops for mental health care professionals and just came away with so much valuable information and felt so cared for during that workshop, and really put a lot of those strategies into place that you shared and taught our group that day. So I was really excited to invite you in and really appreciate you taking the time to share your skills and your energy with us, and wishing you both lots of compassion and love.
The privilege.
Thank you for that, Grace. It is another area that I have training in is bringing mindful self-compassion to healthcare providers as well, and it's such an important area. So it's such an important area for all of us. None of us are exempt from this. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for that, and the lovely opportunity to come and be with you today, and hopefully be of help to other folks.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. You take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.